My daughter betrayed me over a sapphire necklace, excluded me from her graduation, and lied about me. But when her father abandoned her pregnant and left her with nothing, she begged for my forgiveness. I'm 45 years old. I work as a freelance graphic designer. And honestly, I never thought I'd end up writing this. But I need to get it all out, because what happened with my daughter Ashley in the last few months basically destroyed what was left of our family. And the thing is, it all started over a necklace. A damn necklace that I didn't even know we had stored in the attic. But I guess I should start from further back. So it makes sense. My marriage to Michael, Ashley's father, ended like 2 years ago, when Ashley was 17, and it wasn't one of those amicable divorces where both people remain friends and everything is civilized. No. It turned out Michael had been having an affair for 5 years with his secretary. 5 years. Can you believe it? 5 years in which I thought we were fine, that we were a normal family, while he was basically living a double life. I found out in the most pathetic way possible. I found messages on his phone when he lent it to me to look up an address, because mine had run out of battery. There they were, hundreds of messages with her, his secretary from work, a woman like 10 years younger than me, and they weren't just work messages. You know, there were photos, plans to meet at hotels, everything. I felt like an idiot, like I had been blind all those years. The divorce was horrible, brutal, one of those that destroys you from the inside. Michael kept the business that supposedly we had built together. I kept the house and some money, but the worst part was seeing how Ashley processed everything. She was 17 years old, in her last year of high school, and suddenly, her world collapsed. At first, she was on my side. She cried with me, told me she hated her father for what he had done. But then something changed. Michael started taking her to expensive restaurants, bought her a new car, a 2022 Honda Civic, red, the one she had always wanted, and little by little she started spending more time with him and his girlfriend, the secretary, who by then was openly living with Michael. What hurt me most was realizing that Ashley and Michael's girlfriend, I'm going to call her Sarah, because I can't even write her real name without feeling nauseous, were becoming friends. Like, Ashley would casually tell me that Sarah had taken her shopping, that Sarah had given her makeup advice, that Sarah was super cool and understood young people. And there I was, trying not to explode, trying to be the mature mother who doesn't badmouth the father in front of the daughter, but inside I wanted to scream. Then we got to the summer before Ashley started college. She had been accepted to a pretty good private university, and I had saved some money to help her. Not all of it, but a considerable portion. The plan was for her to take out student loans for the rest, work part-time, you know, the normal thing. But one day Ashley went up to the attic to look for some boxes with her childhood stuff and found an old box from my grandmother, my maternal grandmother who died when I was like 25 years old. Inside that box was a blue sapphire necklace that had belonged to my great-grandmother, then to my grandmother, and that my mom had given me before she died 10 years ago. It's a beautiful piece, antique, with a sapphire the size of a large coin surrounded by small diamonds, and it has enormous sentimental value to me. It's literally the only thing that connects me to that part of my family, because my mom was an only child, and so am I. So when she died, I was the last one. Ashley came down from the attic with the necklace in her hand, with her eyes shining, and told me, "Mom, this must be worth a fortune. We should get it appraised." I explained to her what it was. I told her the story of the necklace, how it had passed from generation to generation, and I thought she would understand. But then she threw at me, "Well, you could sell it and pay my full tuition, so I wouldn't have to take out loans or work." And I just stood there, looking at her, trying to process what she had just said. I told her no, that the necklace was not for sale, that it was a family heirloom, and she got angry. Not like a little upset, but angry, yelling that I was selfish, that a necklace wasn't more important than her education, that if I really loved her, I would make that sacrifice. The argument escalated horribly. She was saying that I had always been cheap with money, that her dad really supported her, and I tried to explain to her that Michael could afford to buy her things because he had kept the business in the divorce, but that I was doing the best I could. It didn't work. The next day, Ashley packed her things and went to live with her father and Sarah. She sent me a message saying she couldn't live with me anymore if I was going to be so selfish, and that she would stay at her dad's house until she started college in August. Like 2 weeks passed and Ashley's graduation came. I was excited. I had bought a new dress, had her gift ready. A new laptop for college that cost me like $1,000, and then I received a message from Michael. It said that Ashley didn't want me to go to the ceremony, that only he and Sarah would go, and that it was better if I respected that to avoid making a scene. I sat there in my living room, with the new dress hanging in my closet, crying like I hadn't cried since the divorce. I tried to call Ashley, sent her messages, but she completely ignored me. On graduation day, I stayed home looking at old photos of when Ashley was little, when she called me Mom with that sweet little voice and told me I was her best friend. Michael sent me photos of the ceremony. I don't know if to rub it in or because he genuinely thought I would want to see them, but there was Ashley with her cap and gown, smiling between Michael and Sarah had her hand on her shoulder as if she were her mother. I felt like my heart was being ripped out. But the worst came after. I had a graduation party at Michael's house, a huge house he had bought after the divorce, and I obviously wasn't invited. But Ashley's grandfather, Henry, Michael's dad, did go, and Henry had always been good to me even after the divorce. He came to my house the day after the party and told me what happened. Ashley had given a speech, and in that speech she had talked about how grateful she was to her dad and Sarah, whom she called her lucky charm, and said that Sarah had been like a mother to her in the last year. She didn't mention me once. Not once. Henry was furious. He told me he had confronted her right there at the party, asked her how she could say those things when her mother had been there for her all her life, raising her practically alone while Michael worked all the time. Ashley responded that I didn't deserve to be mentioned because I had denied her the opportunity to study without debt, that I valued an old necklace more than her future. Henry told me he left the party, immediately, but before that he did something. He tore up some papers he had in his pocket. It turns out Henry, who owns several businesses and has quite a bit of money, had planned to give Ashley a special graduation gift. He was going to give her a stake in one of his smaller companies, something that would be worth like $100,000 and would generate passive income. But after hearing that speech and seeing how she treated her own mother, he tore up the papers right there and told her he wasn't going to reward that behavior. Henry called me that same night and told me not to give Ashley a penny for college, that she needed to learn that actions have consequences, and that she was raising a spoiled, entitled girl. I didn't know what to do. Part of me wanted to give her the money anyway, because she was my daughter, but another part was so hurt, so angry, that I thought maybe Henry was right. Michael called me the next day yelling at me, saying that I had manipulated his father into taking away Ashley's gift, that I was a vindictive witch. Ashley sent me like 20 messages insulting me, blaming me for ruining her life, saying everything was my fault. Then things got worse, much worse. Ashley went to talk to Henry, I guess to try to fix the gift thing, and apparently she told him a completely different story. She told Henry that I had told her she couldn't come to graduation, that I had declined the invitation because I was too busy with work. She also told him that I had verbally abused her about the necklace issue, that I had yelled horrible things at her, and that's why she had left the house. All lies, pure lies. But Ashley told it with so much conviction that Henry almost believed her. Almost. Because Henry is smart and decided to ask me directly. He called me, asked me why I hadn't gone to graduation, and when I told him the truth, he asked me for proof. I showed him the messages from Michael telling me not to go. The messages I sent Ashley, begging her to let me go, everything. Henry turned livid, told me he was going to cut contact with Ashley until she stopped being a manipulative liar, and he did. He sent her a very clear message telling her he knew the truth, that he was disappointed in her, and that he didn't want to hear from her until she was ready to be honest and apologize. And you know what Ashley did? Instead of reflecting, of realizing she had gone too far, she decided to double down. She started making TikTok videos telling her version of the story, saying that I was an abusive mother who had denied her help for college, that I had kicked her out of the house, that I had manipulated her grandfather against her. The videos went viral in our community, they had thousands of views, and suddenly everyone was looking at me weird at the supermarket, at the coffee shop, everywhere. I was devastated, humiliated. I didn't know what to do. Then my sister, who lives in another state but who had been following all the drama, told me I had to tell my side. She helped me make my own video, one where I showed proof. Michael's messages, the messages I sent, Ashley, everything. I posted it, and it also went viral, but this time people started seeing me with sympathy. The comments were on my side. People were saying Ashley was an ungrateful brat, that Michael was a horrible father, that Sarah was a homewrecker. But I didn't stop there. I was so angry, so tired of being treated like garbage, that I contacted a lawyer and threatened to sue Ashley for defamation. The videos she had made contained false information, direct lies that damaged my reputation, and my lawyer told me we had a solid case. I sent her a formal letter through the lawyer demanding that she take down the videos and post an apology or face a lawsuit. Ashley panicked. Michael too. They called me trying to fix things, offering that Ashley would apologize to me privately if I withdrew the legal threat. But I was fed up. I told them that either Ashley made a public apology, acknowledging she had lied, or we would proceed with the lawsuit. It was in the middle of all this chaos that something happened that nobody saw coming. Ashley and Sarah had a fight, a strong fight about something. I never found out exactly what it was, but apparently Ashley was jealous because Sarah was pregnant. Yes, pregnant. Michael was going to have another child, and felt like her father was replacing her. The argument escalated, and Ashley pushed a pregnant woman during an argument, and Sarah almost fell. Michael saw everything and exploded. Literally yelled at Ashley that she was a horrible person, how dare she endanger his pregnant girlfriend and his unborn child, and told her to get out of his house immediately. Ashley was evicted, just like that. Michael kicked her out that same night. Didn't care that she had nowhere to go. Didn't care about anything. Suddenly Ashley had no home, didn't have her father's support, didn't have Henry's graduation gift, and college started in 2 weeks. She called Henry crying, begging him to let her stay with him, and Henry, who despite everything still loves her because she's his granddaughter, agreed but with strict conditions. She had to go to therapy, she had to apologize publicly to me, and she had to get a job to start paying for her own college with student loans. It was then that Ashley finally seemed to wake up from her bubble of entitlement. I think losing her father, the same father she had defended so much, the same father for whom she had sacrificed her relationship with me, was what finally opened her eyes. She realized that Michael only wanted her when she made him look good, when she followed his rules, but that the moment she caused problems or threatened his perfect new life with Sarah, he threw her out like garbage. And she realized that I, the mother she had treated so horribly, had been the only one who had truly loved her unconditionally all these years. Ashley complied with the conditions. She posted a video apologizing publicly, admitting she had lied about me, that she had been manipulative and cruel, and that she was sorry. It wasn't perfect. There were still parts where she tried to justify herself. But it was enough. Henry and I decided not to proceed with the lawsuit. The truth is, we never wanted to take it to court. We just wanted her to acknowledge what she had done. Now Ashley is in college, lives in a small apartment near campus, works part-time at a coffee shop, and has a bunch of student loans she's going to be paying for years. She completely cut contact with Michael after he never apologized for kicking her out like that, didn't even call to see how she was. She goes to therapy twice a month with a psychologist that Henry pays for because he says that's non-negotiable, that if she's going to live under his roof, she needs to work on her issues. As for our relationship, Ashley and I are in a slow rebuilding process. We see each other once a month for coffee, talk on the phone every 2 weeks or so, but it's not like before and probably never will be. I've forgiven Ashley in the sense that I don't hold a grudge. I understand she's young and that she was influenced by her father and Sarah. But I also need to maintain a certain distance to protect myself. What she did hurt a lot. And although I'm her mother and I love her, I'm also a person who needs to take care of her own mental health. The necklace is still in my drawer. I look at it sometimes and it reminds me where I come from. It reminds me of my mom and my grandmother, and it reminds me that some things are priceless, that not everything can be sold or sacrificed for convenience. Do I regret not selling it to give Ashley a debt-free college education? Sometimes, yes. When I think about all the pain that decision caused. But other times, no, because I think it was necessary for her to learn an important lesson about consequences and about not taking for granted the people who love you. Life is weird, you know? I never thought my relationship with my daughter would reach this point, never thought I would have to threaten to sue her or that her own father would kick her out of his house. But here we are, all trying to move forward with the scars this whole mess left us. Henry continues to be an incredible support. He calls me every week to see how I am, and honestly, I don't know what I would have done without him in this whole process. It's ironic that my ex-husband's father is one of the few people I can trust now. As for Michael and Sarah, They had their baby like 3 months ago. A boy. Ashley told me that Michael didn't even tell her when he was born. She found out through social media. I think that finally closed that chapter for her. Finally accepted that her father isn't the man she thought he was. I don't know if Michael will ever realize the damage he caused, the damage he continues to cause. But honestly, it's not my problem anymore. I keep working. I keep living in the same house. And little by little, I'm rebuilding my life. I started going out with friends again, took up hobbies I had abandoned during the marriage, and I'm in therapy too because, well, this was traumatic and I need to process it with someone professional. Am I happy? I don't know if happy is the right word, but I'm at peace, more or less. I'm learning to live with what happened, to accept that my relationship with Ashley will never be the same, and to be okay with that. The hardest thing is accepting that your daughter, the person you brought into the world and raised with all your love, is capable of betraying you so deeply. It's a different kind of pain from any other, a pain that changes you forever. But it also taught me something important. It taught me that unconditional love doesn't mean accepting abuse or disrespect. You can love someone and at the same time set boundaries. You can forgive and at the same time protect yourself. That's something I'm still learning. It's not easy, but it's necessary. Last week, Ashley sent me a message asking if she could come to the house for Thanksgiving. I told her yes, but that Henry and some of my friends would also be there. I think I need to have other people there. I need that buffer, that security that we're not going to end up in another horrible fight. She said she understood, that whatever made me feel comfortable was fine with her. I guess that's progress, right? The fact that she's willing to work with my terms, to respect my boundaries, is something she never would have done 6 months ago. I don't know what's going to happen in the future with our relationship. Maybe someday we'll be close again, maybe not. But what I do know is that I'm not going to sacrifice my emotional well-being to please anyone anymore. Not even my own daughter. That's the hardest lesson I've learned from all this. And although it cost me a lot of pain and a lot of tears, I think it was something I needed to learn. And that blue sapphire necklace, that necklace that caused so much drama, is still mine. It's still the link to the strong women in my family who came before me. And that's never going to change.